Hi everyone, welcome back to the Capacities channel. In the next couple of videos, I will be talking a little bit more about how to organise your content in Capacities. Now, this isn't something that we want people to have to think about in depth before being able to do anything. But of course, there is sometimes a need to add a little bit more organisation or collecting certain things together, and I'll show you how we can do that in a few ways. The things we'll discuss in this video are tags and collections and when to use them and what the difference is, and then in a separate video we'll talk about the object dashboards and queries. Queries are a bit like an automatic collection depending how you think about them and how you use them, so I'll go into that in a separate video. But let's start looking at the difference between tags and collections, and we'll start specifically with collections. So I will use my people objects as an example for this, because the core idea behind a collection is that you're creating a subgroup within one of your object types already. So the first step with any collection is to enter one of your object types in this left-hand side, and we're going to create a group of whatever you see there. So I guess you're looking at what these people have in common. We have musicians, we have tech people, we have a director, we have scientists, and what we can do, instead of creating object types for each of those occupations or interests, we can create a collection within our existing people object type. So what you can do, we'll use Brian May, is open up an object like this, and there's always this collections button next to the label that tells you what object type this note is. And if you already have collections, you would just choose which one is most applicable. But if you haven't got one, you would type in the name and you can click create musician or whatever you want there. Obviously, I've already got one, so I will use that. And now when I click on musician, I see the two people I have added to this collection. So I've gone into my people object type and I'm looking within that for a specific group of them here, musicians. But we also have scientists and writers, and essentially you've got this flexibility to look at the objects that you have and think about the collections that would be most useful to you. And this idea of them always sitting under an object type is helpfully displayed in this left-hand sidebar. If your object type has collections, this toggle will be dark, so you can see that there's something for you to open. So comparing people with organisations, I clearly have some collections set up here, but I don't have any for organisations. But with that being always accessible in this sidebar, if you're looking for a specific type of person, you can just come to that particular collection in the sidebar. Same for projects, here are my in progress ones, and same for hotels. There are 2 hotel entries there, and you'll see the answer for why that is in the next video. So keep that in mind, that collections make a subgroup of one of your object types, so they're always nested underneath an object type like this. That might start to sound though like people can only belong to one collection, or indeed any object can only belong to one collection, because that's how folders work essentially. And it's not like that at all. A lot of Capacities is about giving you this free thinking network, but with some structure to help you along, and that's one of the ways that we can think about collections. They're free thinking because you can add an object to however many collections make sense for that object. So as we can see here, Brian May has a PhD in astrophysics, so he could feasibly also belong to the scientist collection. And we're not trying to silo our objects into smaller and smaller sections. All we're doing is making the content show up where it's relevant. So it's now more accurate that I have 3 scientists in this collection, but Brian May is a musician just as Taylor Swift is, so they can exist in this collection together as well. So instead of thinking about organisation in Capacities as a barrier to getting anything done, just think about it as a way for you to make your object show up where it's useful to you. And as mentioned, for this example, it's useful for me to be able to see Brian May in both of these collections, so I simply add him to them. Anyone on the Pro plan might have also seen this AI button, and if you have AI enabled in the settings, you'll see this with collections and with tags and with a description. And essentially, it's going to use the whole context of your object, so name, properties, and notes, to decide which of your collections or which of your tags are most appropriate. So if I click this button here, it goes through my collections and it finds a relevant one and applies it. I don't have to keep it, but it helps me use the collections I have a little bit easier. And we'll see the same with the tags again later as well. So if I'm thinking of organisation as a way to make objects show up where it makes sense, I can kind of outsource some of that thinking to the AI assistant, who can decide for me, and I can just review their work. And as your space grows, you might find that very helpful. So if collections are drilling down into one object type, we need a way to be able to unite things across object types, and tags are one way that you can do that. And we'll carry on looking at Brian May and science to illustrate this point. Brian May is an astrophysicist, and I might take this note and think, actually, this is a good opportunity to learn something about astrophysics. So I could go to my page object type and create a new page, and I will just ask the AI assistant for an introduction, and I will append that to astrophysics. And this is now a starting point for my research. I have started this research because I know that Brian May is an astrophysicist. And ideally, I'd like a way to be able to show that connection. I absolutely could just link to Brian May here, and if I open and close that, I would see more information. But tags are a different way of doing that. We can talk about linking in a separate video, but we'll just talk about tags in this one. So what I could do is create a tag called astrophysics, and because that already existed, could use the AI assistant to assign it for me. And I click on that and I get a page that looks very similar to how the collections did. Both of them have the different view options and the ability to filter and sort the content that's there. But there's also this add button in the top right, and that is allowing me to quickly and easily add related content to this tag. And now I have a view that shows me two things related to astrophysics, but they're from different object types. There is no way for me to create a collection of people and pages. I could only create a collection of some pages or of some people. So if I want to combine different object types under one view, that's perfect for a tag. And we open up the graph and we can see there's just a bit more context around both this astrophysics page and the Brian May person object as well. And this tag, once set up, simply grows with you. So there's a lot of words on this page that I don't understand. So I could set up a simple definitions object type, go back to that page, and then highlight the new words that I learn and create definitions. And then again, either assign myself or click the AI button. And again, I click on that and I now have 3 objects, all from different types, but that are all connected to astrophysics. And really, I think it might be useful to think about tags as a different way of viewing your work. Typically in Capacities, we take the object type approach because that's what you see on the left-hand side. If every object needs a type, it's obviously a very easy way to separate things in your head, to organise your content without much effort, because you've got to define the type as soon as you create an object. But we can then zoom in on these objects in a different way and instead use tags for something like topics or themes or status, such as done or in progress. And it's a different kind of umbrella to group your objects in that doesn't depend on the type. And I think it's the existence of these two together that gives you a very flexible way of working, and it's certainly very scalable as well. So that's the core difference. Collections drill down into an object type, and tags sort of go the other way and find anything related to the name of the tag, regardless of the object type it belongs to. So that is a video looking more in depth at the difference between tags and collections. And if you're interested in the object dashboard or queries, have a look at the next video because that's what I will discuss.